Welcome back to the channel. Rare Coins History. People drop into a jar, leave in a drawer, or hand over without a second thought. But what if I told you that this tiny piece of metal could actually hold a secret that makes it worth thousands of times more than its face value? Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1966 with mint mark, a coin that might look like just another penny but can actually be worth a fortune if you happen to have the right one. The Lincoln cent has a long and proud history in American coinage. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it became the very first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than symbolic imagery. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny has gone through design changes, metal composition shifts, and countless minting runs, but one thing has always remained the same: it's been a coin tied deeply to American culture. By 1966, the Lincoln penny was still being struck in its classic form, with the familiar portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been adopted in 1959. This was the very coin Americans were carrying around during a turbulent era of history, the mid-1960s, marked by social change, economic shifts, and the growing influence of coin collecting as a serious hobby. The 1966 penny was produced in large quantities, but here's where things get interesting. Unlike many other years, coins from this era can show subtle differences, minting variations, and rare errors that can make certain examples stand out. Collectors pay close attention to details such as the sharpness of the strike, the presence of doubling in the lettering or date, and even tiny misalignments that may have occurred during the minting process. Some of these varieties are so scarce that they become highly sought after by numismatists, turning what most people would consider spare change into a prized treasure. When you're looking at a 1966 Lincoln penny with a mint mark, the small letter beneath the date tells you where the coin was minted. It could be from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, each with its own production numbers and potential errors. While millions were made, it's not the sheer quantity that matters, it's the rarity of condition and uniqueness that makes all the difference. A penny with flawless surfaces, brilliant luster, and no signs of wear can easily capture the attention of collectors and investors alike. And if you pair that pristine state with a minting anomaly, you suddenly have a coin that could command extraordinary value. Think about how many 1966 pennies passed through people's hands during that year alone. They were used for bus fares, vending machines, school lunches, and countless everyday purchases. Yet among those countless coins, only a small handful survived in exceptional condition. Fewer still carry those rare traits that make them stand apart from the rest. And it is those exact coins, the ones hiding in plain sight, that could change your perspective on what a penny is really worth. Coin collecting is all about the thrill of discovery. You never know when an overlooked coin in your pocket change, or a dusty old jar of pennies from your grandparents' attic, might hold one of these treasures. The 1966 Lincoln penny, with its potential errors, mint variations, and scarcity in top grade, has become one of those coins that collectors dream of finding. It's a reminder that history is alive in our money, and sometimes value goes far beyond what is stamped on the surface. So the next time you come across an older penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the year, check for the mint mark, and examine its condition. Because that 1 cent you're holding could turn out to be so much more than just a cent. In the world of coin collecting, knowledge is power, and sometimes that knowledge can put real money in your pocket. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one such piece of American history, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1967 with mint mark, a coin that carries both heritage and mystery, and in certain rare cases, can be worth far, far more than the single cent stamped on its surface. The Lincoln penny has been one of the most recognized coins in America for over a century. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1967, the Lincoln penny was already a household coin, carried in the pockets of millions of Americans during an era of social and cultural change. It bore the familiar image of Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been added in 1959 to replace the wheat ears design. This coin was not just a means of exchange, it was part of everyday life, silently passing from one hand to another during a time when America was going through remarkable transformations. Now, when it comes to the 1967 Lincoln penny, there's something particularly special that makes collectors pay close attention. This was during a fascinating period in American coinage history. In the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint had temporarily suspended the use of mint marks on coins in an effort to discourage hoarding, since so many people were pulling coins out of circulation for their potential value in collections. This means that while we commonly talk about mint marks when evaluating coins, in 1967 the coins officially carried none, making it a unique year in the penny's story. Yet, despite the absence of official mint marks, collectors still examine these coins for subtle variations, striking quality, and errors that might set certain pieces apart as exceptionally rare. The 1967 penny was struck in huge numbers, but here's where the magic lies: not every coin is equal. Some coins came off the dies with sharper details, brighter luster, and fewer imperfections. Some ended up with doubling errors, like doubling in the date or the letters of "In God We Trust." Others may show off-center strikes or misaligned dies, features that make them fascinating to collectors who value uniqueness. And when one of these coins is found in pristine, uncirculated condition, its worth can skyrocket. What may look like just another old penny in a jar could, under the right circumstances, be something extraordinary. Think about it: millions of Americans spent these coins without giving them a second thought. They bought candy, soda, postage stamps, and small items with pennies like these in 1967. Yet among those countless coins, only a select few were preserved carefully, tucked away in collections or accidentally set aside in untouched rolls, allowing them to survive with their original brilliance. Those are the coins that stand out today in the eyes of numismatists, and those are the coins that carry incredible value. The beauty of coin collecting is in the thrill of discovery. It's not just about owning a rare coin, it's about the hunt, the history, and the possibility that an overlooked treasure is hiding right in plain sight. That jar of change in the kitchen, the old coins saved in a box from a parent or grandparent, or even the random pocket change you get at the store could be holding one of these valuable pennies. The key is to pay attention, to learn the signs, and to appreciate that even the smallest coins can carry big stories. The 1967 penny in particular represents a snapshot of American life during a dynamic era. From its design to its quirks in production, it's more than a coin, it's a piece of history. Collectors seek it not just for its potential value, but because it connects them to the past in a tangible way. Every scratch, every shine, every preserved detail tells a story of where it's been and how it survived. Today, we're talking about the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1981 with mint mark, a coin that many people overlook, yet collectors know can carry an extraordinary worth. The Lincoln cent has a legendary history in U.S. coinage. First struck in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was revolutionary as the first coin to feature a real person instead of symbolic figures like Liberty. Victor David Brenner designed the famous portrait of Lincoln that still graces the obverse today. By the time 1981 rolled around, the Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for more than 7 decades, touching the hands of millions of Americans every single day. But the 1981 penny stands out in a special way, because it was one of the last years the mint produced Lincoln cents using mostly copper before transitioning to a zinc composition in 1982. That alone makes 1981 an important year for collectors. It represents the end of an era. Now, when we talk about mint marks on 1981 pennies, this is where things get even more interesting. Pennies from this year were struck at different U.S. mint facilities, each with their own identifying mark. You might see a small D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, while those minted in Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all. Collectors carefully study these variations because the place of mintage, along with the condition of the coin, can make a massive difference in value. Proof coins struck at San Francisco, for instance, were made with mirror-like finishes intended for collectors, while business strikes from Denver and Philadelphia were made for everyday circulation. Within those, quality, rarity, and errors can make certain coins incredibly valuable. Errors are what truly excite coin enthusiasts. Think about a 1981 penny with a double die, where the numbers or letters appear doubled because of a mistake in the die-making process. Or an off-center strike, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't aligned properly in the press. Sometimes you'll find coins with filled mint marks, weak strikes, or unusual planchet compositions. These errors aren't common, and when they surface in excellent condition, they send collectors into bidding wars, driving prices into unbelievable territory. And then we have to talk about condition, because condition is king in coin collecting. A penny that has been in circulation for decades, passed from pocket to pocket and showing the wear of time, won't command much value. But a 1981 Lincoln penny that was preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, with sharp details, bright luster, and virtually no blemishes, that's the kind of coin that gets certified by professional grading services and can fetch enormous sums. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand, knowing that while others might see just 1 cent, you're looking at a treasure that could change your life. It's amazing to think about how these coins traveled through history. In 1981, Americans were paying with pennies for candy, newspapers, postage stamps, and even arcade games. They were scattered into piggy banks, slipped into vending machines, and jingled in the pockets of millions. Yet among those countless coins, only a small fraction would survive in flawless condition or with rare errors that would one day make them highly sought after by collectors. That's why coin collecting is such a thrilling hobby, because at any moment, an ordinary-looking penny in your change could turn out to be an extraordinary find. Collectors often say that every coin tells a story, and the 1981 penny tells one of transition and rarity. It represents the last chapter of the copper era, the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint, and the potential surprises that lie hidden in everyday pocket change. The hunt for valuable coins is not just about the money, it's about uncovering pieces of history, holding in your hand something that has lived through decades, and realizing that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest worth. It's small, brown, and easily overlooked. But here's the twist. Some of these seemingly ordinary 1976 Lincoln pennies with a mint mark are anything but ordinary. In fact, under the right circumstances, this little coin can hold a value that's almost unbelievable, the kind of discovery that could change your perspective on pocket change forever. The Lincoln penny has a long and fascinating history. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was groundbreaking as the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the portrait of Lincoln on the obverse became one of the most recognizable coin designs in America, and over time, it has become a symbol of everyday life. By 1976, the penny had already been circulating for more than 6 decades, passing through countless hands, tucked into jars, piggy banks, and wallets, and used to purchase everything from gum and stamps to newspapers and arcade plays. Yet within the countless pennies struck that year, some stand out in remarkable ways. Now, the year 1976 was a special one for American coin collectors for another reason. It was the nation's bicentennial, marking 200 years since the Declaration of Independence. While the penny itself did not receive a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar did, it still carries the historical weight of that year. Every coin struck in 1976 is a reminder of that important anniversary, which makes even a regular penny from this year worth a second look. And when you add in the possibility of mint marks, errors, and special conditions, the intrigue grows even greater. Mint marks tell us where the coin was made. In 1976, pennies were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia pennies from this year did not carry a mint mark, while Denver pennies bore a small D, and San Francisco coins carried an S, most of which were proof coins made with brilliant, mirror-like surfaces intended for collectors. These subtle differences in mint marks may not seem like much to the casual eye, but they make all the difference to coin collectors. A San Francisco proof penny from 1976 that has been preserved in flawless condition can attract serious attention, while error coins from Denver or Philadelphia can send collectors into a frenzy. Speaking of errors, this is where things really heat up. Coin errors are like hidden treasures, and they're often what transforms a simple 1-cent piece into something extraordinary. For the 1976 Lincoln penny, errors might include doubled dies where the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile appear doubled due to mistakes in die preparation. There are also off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the blank coin wasn't properly aligned in the press. Some have die cracks, repunched mint marks, or even unusual planchet mistakes. These errors are rare and random, making them highly collectible because no two are exactly alike. And the rarer the error combined with a coin in pristine condition, the higher the value can climb. Condition is absolutely critical when it comes to coin collecting. Most 1976 pennies have lived hard lives, spent in circulation for decades, and show plenty of wear and tear. They've been scratched, dulled, and discolored over the years. Those coins won't be worth much more than a penny. But if you find one in mint state, shiny, sharp, and untouched by circulation, the value increases dramatically. Grading services carefully assess coins for luster, strike, and blemishes, and a high-grade 1976 penny with a mint mark can be an extraordinary find. Imagine pulling one of those from an old coin jar, knowing that while everyone else ignored it, you've just discovered something truly special. Think about the journey these coins have taken since 1976. That was a time when Americans were celebrating the bicentennial, when parades and fireworks filled the skies, and people carried these very pennies in their pockets without a second thought. They went through cash registers, vending machines, gas stations, and grocery stores, exchanged countless times in everyday life. And yet, out of the millions produced, only a small fraction survived the test of time in flawless condition, or with rare errors, that now make them treasures in the eyes of collectors. Coin collecting isn't just about profit, though the value can be life-changing. It's about holding history in your hands, about realizing that even the smallest coin tells a story. A 1976 Lincoln penny is not just a piece of copper, it's a piece of American heritage, a link to the past, and a reminder of the bicentennial year when the country celebrated 2 centuries of independence. It's thrilling to think that what looks like a humble penny could actually be something far greater. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1982 with its mint mark, a coin that might be hiding incredible value if you're lucky enough to come across one. The year 1982 was a monumental one in the history of the Lincoln cent. It marked a major transition in how the penny was made. For over 2 decades leading up to 1982, pennies were struck primarily in copper, but rising costs of the metal forced the U.S. Mint to make a big change. In the middle of that year, production shifted from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc composition to a new copper-plated zinc planchet. That meant collectors today can find 1982 pennies made of both copper and zinc, and that small detail makes this year particularly exciting to study. It wasn't just one design, there were several variations created in the same year, each with its own unique story. What adds to the mystery is the different mint marks that can be found on these coins. Some were struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, while others came from Denver with the small D mint mark stamped proudly below the date. Even within these mints, there were differences: large date versus small date designs, copper versus zinc compositions. All these subtle changes matter tremendously when it comes to determining rarity and value. A careful eye can often separate an ordinary penny from one that might bring in thousands of dollars at auction. Let's talk about why the 1982 Lincoln penny has become so legendary among coin enthusiasts. First, the very fact that it was a transition year means that collectors pay extra attention to it. Transitional coins, those minted right as the design or composition changes, often slip through with unusual variations, minting errors, or simply fewer numbers produced than normal. For the 1982 penny, some of these coins ended up being struck on the wrong type of planchet, some were given different date sizes, and others developed unique errors during production. Each of these possibilities adds a layer of intrigue and increases the demand among collectors. Imagine someone in 1982 pocketing one of these coins, completely unaware that it was different from the rest. Decades later, when coin experts started uncovering the unique variations of the 1982 Lincoln penny, those overlooked coins suddenly transformed into treasures. Stories continue to surface about ordinary people finding rare 1982 pennies in old jars, piggy banks, or coin rolls. That's the beauty of this hobby. Sometimes the most valuable finds are sitting right under our noses. So, how do you know if your 1982 penny might be special? First, pay attention to the weight. Copper pennies from that year weigh about 3.11 grams, while the zinc ones weigh around 2.5 grams. That small difference can often be the first clue. Next, look closely at the date. There were both large date and small date styles minted in 1982, and identifying which one you have could make all the difference. Finally, check the mint mark. Denver minted coins carry the D, and collectors often find special interest in those when paired with specific variations. What really drives collectors wild, though, are the error coins from this year. Double dies, off-center strikes, and transitional planchet errors are some of the most famous examples. A double die penny, for instance, may show a doubled image of the date or lettering, making it immediately stand out. Off-center strikes can show part of the design missing because the coin wasn't properly aligned when struck. Transitional errors, where a coin meant to be copper is struck on a zinc planchet, or vice versa, are the true prizes of this year. These mistakes make the coin not only rare but also highly desirable, because they represent a moment in time when the mint was making adjustments and a few slips managed to escape unnoticed. It's not just collectors who get excited about the 1982 Lincoln penny. Investors also take a keen interest. As the coin market grows, rare and transitional coins continue to gain value. When something as small as the size of the date or the weight of the coin can mean the difference between a penny and a treasure, you realize how important it is to pay close attention to even the smallest details. This is where careful observation turns into real profit. Now picture this: a coin that most people would overlook, tossed in a drawer or slipped into a cash register, ending up in the hands of someone who knows what to look for. That's when the magic happens. Some of these 1982 pennies have already crossed the auction block for jaw-dropping amounts, proving that the right combination of rarity and condition can transform a coin's value overnight. And here's the part that makes this story truly exciting: among the many Lincoln pennies of 1982, one has been recorded at an astounding value, showing just how significant these little coins can be. Believe it or not, a single 1982 Lincoln penny with the right mint mark and condition has been valued at $89,000. Would you like me to also create a version of this script where I weave in a bit more storytelling drama, like a lost treasure waiting to be found theme, to make it even more captivating for your viewers?